everyone, I'm Barbara Beck, and I'm so happy you tuned in today to Welcome Home because we have another great program for you. We love to have a theme on each Welcome Home show that helps us share Christ in compelling ways. Well, today's theme is very timely with the season of Thanksgiving being upon us. We're all trying to find ways to make this holiday memorable and special. But it's interesting to me that having an attitude of gratitude is seasonal. I mean, aren't we supposed to give thanks in everything, every day, no matter the season? Well, we'll be talking to some guests today about this very topic, and some of their circumstances are not always what might call for a grateful heart. So I'm interested in hearing their stories. And of course, we start off each program with our current ladies. Let's see what kind of strategies they have for being thankful in spite of circumstances. Welcome, current ladies.
Thanks. Hello.
So glad you're here.
Happy Thanksgiving.
You're thankful. Well, happy Thanksgiving to all of you. And I know you must have wonderful traditions and things that you do in your homes to celebrate Thanksgiving. What are some of those?
Well,
We've all been waiting for this moment.
well, we always spend Thanksgiving at my parents' house. So my mom hosts everyone. She has my in-laws over, my in-laws' family, and so it's fun because there's about 25 of us, and we all gather around the ping pong table, and we have Thanksgiving. It's super casual, so we're not fancy, but we are homey, and we're having fun. But I would like to introduce you all to my turkey.
Where's the journal
that I've made? I made a turkey last year on Pinterest. I got an idea and made this little lovey right here. This is Tom the turkey out of styrofoam. And basically, I cut out all these little feathers, and everyone who came got to come and write what they were thankful for. So this one says, I'm thankful for Jesus and the opportunity to be with him in heaven. Thankful that my mom is able to continue influencing my life.
Oh, that's yours.
I didn't write that.
I'm like, are you saying that about your mom?
This is not my writing, but I love this. I'm thankful for you, Mom, but it wasn't mine. But anyway, so that's just a fun way. And then we'll go back this year and we'll reread what we're thankful for and then add to it.
That's awesome. So did that take you like 5,000 hours to construct?
Thank you, Courtney. Yes, it did take a little while to construct Tom the turkey, but it was fun, and the kids had fun being a part of all that, and so.
Well, I hope you put that somewhere where we can go on and figure out how to do that, because like I said, I'm not crafty. I mean, I come out with more burn marks on my hands. I'm walking around with ice, but my kids are, so I have to do this. But you should put that somewhere where we can all go on.
We'll work on that.
All right.
We'll work on that so that you all can.
Or either we're coming to your house and then you can.
But the other thing that's so cool about it to me is that my mom and her sweet little boyfriend, they're 92 years old, and I'll go back. I will save these feathers. I'll save Tom Turkey as long as he's able to squawk. He will be around forever. But they wrote things that were so precious, that I have their handwriting and their feather, and even little Charlie, he wrote, he's thankful for chicken nuggets. Well, he'll laugh at that one day and realize, that. So anyway, I thank you for doing that because I think it is a really cool thing that we've added to our tradition. And here's the other cool thing about it is that you don't have to have done a tradition for 30 years to make it a tradition.
That's good.
This is year 2 for us, and
Start fresh.
we can start fresh. So what are some other things that you all do?
Oh man, Thanksgiving for me is honestly my favorite holiday because you don't have the hustle and bustle of Christmas and the stress and the pressure of trying to get everything done. And Thanksgiving for us is all about the food. I mean, I've been blessed. My dad is the most amazing chef, and the family comes from near and far if my dad is cooking. And one of his favorite dishes he makes is maple sausage stuffing. I mean, it is the most amazing. The smell of everything sauteing early in the morning. So my tradition with my dad, I would love to get up early as a little girl. We would go do the turkey trot race, and that way we could be guilt-free the rest of the day, right? And then I would just get in the kitchen and watch him. And my dad really doesn't measure anything. Everything is done by taste and smell, and so I've learned his traditions over the years, and I would dare not step into his shoes quite yet, but I'm definitely a sous chef, so I love that, and our family can just come together, give praise and thanks to God for what he's done in our lives, and just be together. I mean, it's a time to reflect and be thankful and just fellowship, and that's my favorite holiday. That's why I love Thanksgiving so much.
We're going to need you to post the maple.
Yeah, I don't know if my dad's going to give away. He might give you everything, but the measurements will not be accurate.
Okay.
I can promise you that. Yeah, the smell, phenomenal. That maple sausage, sizzling on the stove. I mean, it's the most amazing thing to wake up to.
Sweet and salty always.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with that. That's right.
So what traditions do you all have?
Well, for me, it's the same thing. I come from a big family of 7 kids, and and so family it's all about being together. And for me, I love the food. I love to cook. And then when we all get around and we get into the sweet potato casseroles and it's about the day to eat with no guilt.
Do you cook everything, or do you have people bring stuff?
I do cook most of it. I do, but I love to cook. I just enjoy my kids get in the kitchen with me. It's just about that time being together, and sometimes we turn on the Macy's Day Parade, and
of course.
it's just that whole thing, or a football game. It's just about being together, and we'll sit around the table and we'll go around and ask everybody, what are you thankful for? What are you thankful for? And maybe we're not crafty and all that kind of stuff, but it's just hearing people. No, but I want to be. I want to be here today. But it's just about hearing people's thoughts, and maybe that one day that you tell each other what you're thankful for and how you love each other.
Why is it that we do it that one day? That's what kills me. Why are we not like this all year long? Being thankful and grateful and expressing and affirming people.
We should be. And we've talked about before the gratitude journal.
Yeah.
That we, just to write, if we can, 3 or 4 things that we're thankful for every day. So I've gotten a little lax with my gratitude journal, but it's always such a good idea to take just a piece of paper or a journal and write 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 things that God is just thankful for. The butterflies. I'm thankful for the sunshine today. I'm thankful for the rain. So.
And I think that's powerful to do that, because once you start looking for the good things that you're thankful for, it really does change your outlook on life. Because you realize, what you're focusing on is getting bigger. And if you're focusing on the good, then all your happy and the joy and the peace of the Lord, I think, just grows in your heart.
So, Leanne, you have a huge, wonderful family. What all do you do?
Well, for us, I was listening to you guys, and I think just being together, we love to eat, like anybody. And we all divvy up. So every year I make this creamy mashed potato casserole that's amazing, but it came from somebody. And so we all kind of make the same things. We do the same things. But this past year, my parents sold their big house, and so we usually have about 50 people together. And so this last year, we didn't. We actually went with the Florida Gator basketball team down to the Bahamas, and this year it's going to be a little different too. But next year, we're going to host it at our house. We've just purchased a new house, so I'm really looking forward to, just because our all the cousins. It was years and years of doing, just waiting to see my cousins, like from West Palm or wherever. And so I just think it's that one time where we do all day long play football out in the yard or watch football, and just really spend time and catch up with family, which is so important.
Well, see, and I love to play games. I mean, I know that's a surprise to everybody, but board games or apples to apples or Uno. And to me, I mean, we've really been trying to make it even during the regular week to get one day, because our kids love it. And my 6-year-old is so good at this stuff, and it builds their confidence in life, and I just love it. So I think that's a great idea to get out and play football. I'm 4'11", but I can tuck that down.
I wanted to encourage our viewers to, I was able to write an article actually on giving thanks and having an attitude of gratitude for Christian Women's Today magazine. And there were 5 things that I encouraged everyone to do to get an attitude of gratitude adjustment. And it's just in every day, like you said, giving thanks. And so the first thing is to set an atmosphere of worship. I think worship, turning on worship music in your home, it just fills the air with gratitude. It takes the focus off of ourselves. The second one was to get back into our word, get the focus on Jesus. Realize, obviously, the heart of the gospel is that Jesus came to pay the highest price for us, and how would that not make us feel grateful? And then the next one is wellness. A lot of times when we're in a funk, going into the seasons changing, some people get invigorated and some people get more depressed in a funk. The sunshine's not out as much. And so get out and take a walk, get outdoors, get your body moving. And it's amazing how grateful you feel when you just get outside. The other thing is service. I think, we focus a lot on our families during Thanksgiving, but do something intentional as a family to get out and serve your community. Do something for someone less fortunate than yourselves. And the last one, this is really good, is not to compare, because we don't want to compare ourselves to Kristen, the Pinterest queen. Like, I can't measure up to her craftiness, but I mean, that's a gift that God has given her. So, not compare, start your new traditions with your family, do things that are special to you, and keep your focus on Christ this Thanksgiving.
I love that, Courtney. And one thing that I would just encourage everyone to think about is that Thanksgiving sometimes is not a joyful holiday for everyone. There's oftentimes there's people who don't have family to go with and family to be with, or they've lost a loved one around Thanksgiving. So I would just encourage all of us to be mindful and maybe ask the Lord to put on our hearts someone who doesn't have something to do this Thanksgiving. You've always been great about that by inviting people that don't have a place to go for Thanksgiving. And I think that if we can just all, maybe just ask the Lord for a little reminder, Lord, is there somebody who doesn't have plans this Thanksgiving that we can invite into our homes?
Can I add to that too? It's not just single people, it's families. Because there's lots of times families don't have family, they don't have parents, or maybe they've lost loved ones this year. And just to go and ask that family, would you like to join our families and make some new memories together? It really makes a difference.
Yeah, and this is going to be the first, there's always a first Thanksgiving or a first holiday a lot of times, not always, but without somebody. And to remember that person, or to, make a point to, and your mother-in-law is so great about that. She has Christmas, and we always circle up, and she'll pray for not pray for them, but thank God for that person's life who's no longer there. It's a really good time to remember people. And this is our first Thanksgiving. This is really weird. She's still alive, so it's not horrible, but first year, your sister and my other daughter will not be with us at Thanksgiving because she's engaged, and now we share. And so she has to go. Sharing is caring. Sharing is caring. She has to go with the fiance's family in Arizona, which is great. And I'm excited about that for her. But it will be a slight adjustment for us, and there will be an empty place in our hearts for not having Kelsey around. So to be able to fill that spot with other people, not that people can replace her, but to bring what I call the strays, sometimes the families out there that don't have anybody, or the single person who needs. So we just need to be mindful of all of that, I think. Any other scriptures you want to share?
I've got a good one from 1 Chronicles 16:34, and it's give thanks to the Lord, for he is good. His love endures forever.
I love that.
And I have a quote. I actually brought a quote today, and it says, if you live your life with regrets of yesterday and the worries of tomorrow, you will have no today to be thankful for.
Wow.
That really hit me hard. Yeah.
Very strong.
Very good.
Good. Well, we know in everything give thanks. So this is a great time for us to be all about family and friends, and of course Jesus, and bringing us all together. So thankful for the current ladies today and all the wonderful things they had to share, and know that you're excited about Thanksgiving and pulling in Jesus into that great table of fellowship with your friends and family. Well, we're going to hear from our precious friend Chris Ebert, and then we have a wonderful interview with Willie from the House of Timothy that I think you're going to really enjoy that as well. So stay with us. We've got more coming up.
I think it's safe to say that Ann B. Davis is an American icon. What? Who is Ann B. Davis? I'm glad you asked that question. She was born a twin in Schenectady, New York, and left behind college plans to study medicine when she became enamored with acting. In 1956, she landed the role of Schultze, Bob Cummings' comical right-hand gal, in the television series Love That Bob. Ann was nominated 4 times for performance, and she won twice for Outstanding Supporting Actress in a Comedy Series. In 1960, she was honored with a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Soon after, Ann Davis was cast as the fun-loving, part-of-the-family housekeeper and sage advice giver, Alice, on the sitcom The Brady Bunch. The popularity of the show, and her part in particular, catapulted Ann Davis into fortune and fame. But Ann found that there was still something missing from her life. She later said she felt greedy because with all of these successes, she should have been satisfied. In fact, to use her own words, she said, there's a God-shaped space within all of us that most of us spend our lives trying to fill with booze or possessions, food, drugs, all kinds of things. In her case, her career. Until we find that space within us and fill it with God, we can never feel whole. Davis began attending Bible study classes at an Episcopal church in North Hollywood. When she was asked about it, she told AP News, "I was born again. It even happens to Episcopalians, and sometimes it doesn't hit you till you're 47 years old. It changed my whole life for the better." Ann virtually retired from television after the Brady Bunch series ended. She spent a lot of time giving Christian witness all over the country to church groups and secular audiences alike. People magazine covered her as a woman whose life was radically transformed by her faith. Ms. Davis joined a Christian community center, and she attended Bible classes, working in a soup kitchen and joyfully playing the tambourine for the church's contemporary Christian band. When she joined that great cloud of witnesses last year at the age of 88, a fellow parishioner said, "Ann's faith is as deep as that of anyone I've ever known." Ann wrote, "The Lord has a plan for all of us, but sometimes we don't fulfill that plan. As I live my life for Him, He points the way." Jesus said that the one who wants to be greatest in the kingdom of God needs to be the servant of all. Small wonder that Ann did such a great job portraying a servant on television. She'd been practicing for many years in the kingdom of God, keeping her eyes and ears on Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith. Thanks, Alice.
I hope you're enjoying our Thanksgiving program today. I know I am. It's something about this time of year that just really puts us in the holiday spirit with friends and family and just an attitude of gratitude. So I hope that you're able to grab a hold of that in your own homes and just have a good time with us and with your people that are in your circles of love and influence. Well, we have a really special guest here with us today. Willie Montague is in charge of a ministry here locally that's called House of Timothy, and I'm so grateful to God for bringing Willie across our paths. Welcome to Welcome Home, Willie.
Thank you for having me.
Well, I don't know very much about you or House of Timothy, and I'm so excited to hear more about it because particularly during the holidays, it seems like there's even a greater need for young men, and in particular, I guess your ministry is just for young men. Is that right? Mm-hmm. Tell me, first of all, a little bit about who Willie is.
Okay. Well, I was born and raised in Morehead City, North Carolina. And I grew up in a family that wasn't really Christian or found in Christian beliefs. And I kind of got out of that and started going to church myself.
Good.
And my grandmother, she would travel around to different churches and play the piano. And then when she passed away, I continued to go to church, and that inspired me to just be inspirational around the community. I was always known as Preacher Boy or Pastor Willie or whatever, even in school as I was growing up. And I remember even dressing up in dress clothes since 6th grade. And going to school and not carrying a book bag, but a briefcase.
Wow.
And so as I grew up, I didn't really have just the mentorship that was there, and that I always made that promise to the Lord that I would continue to be that inspiration to someone else if He gave me the platform to do so.
That's interesting, Willie, that you didn't have anybody to come alongside you, really, other than maybe your grandmother, that mentored you. So how do you suppose you got this really strong relationship with the Lord and this real desire to be a leader and to be a mentor when there was nobody in your life?
What I did, I always found people who were older than me, and that's really what I was drawn to, people who are older. And every time I had an opportunity to be in church, that's where I was, and I just was around either was deacons or deaconess or whoever it was that could be someone that was inspiration, even though they weren't in the category of mentors we would see one today. But I just got that wisdom and learned how to receive correction even when I was younger, and I just wanted to grow, even when it was in the Lord, or just want to know more, and that was really what drove me.
From the time you were a little boy?
Yes.
So are you telling me that were there really no times of rebellion or moving away from the Lord?
Oh, no.
Oh. You had that story.
Yes, there was times when, not really into drugs or anything like that, but it was more of times when I just got angry and bitter and just had a lot of things that took place in my life really when my father was absent. So that really started hitting me when I got old and realized that there was something that was missing. And so when I was in school, I did start, being that more of kind of like just talking back to the teachers and being disrespectful and things like that. But as I, started just to grow up, I realized that I couldn't say I was a minister or in church and then still, be at school and everyone knew, like, man, he'll blow you out in a heartbeat. Yeah. So I had to start developing the character to walk in it.
I love that. It's almost like, Willie, the Lord had His hand on your life at a really young age and just had this great plan for your life, which we know He does. Jeremiah 29:11-12, for I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you you, plans to not harm you, but to give you a hope and a future. And that's, I can just see Willie Montague written all over those verses. I think that's a really cool part of your story. So you go from this kid who is a pretty good kid. You're really seeking to be a leader and to help other people. How do you get to the House of Timothy? What's that story like?
Well, in 2007, I left from North Carolina and I attended Rhema Bible College in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. And in 2008, I connected with the ministry, and then I was ordained there as a pastor.
Wow.
And began a church there.
In Oklahoma?
In Oklahoma.
Okay.
And then after that, about 2011, 2012, we started opening up the apartment that I lived in to let people, and I would bring in people off the street to come live. And,
that you didn't even know?
That I did not know. And,
wow.
and my family thought I was very crazy before doing that. But I would just bring in individuals who needed help. And what happened was I started working as a supervisor at the McDonald's, and I started meeting young adults and young youth that was there. And as I was supervising them, I was actually in charge of hiring them. And then I realized that a lot of them had the absence of a father. And so I started opening up my home to that. And then it turned into an extended 1-bedroom to a 3-bedroom. And then we started just, people would come in and start giving us mattresses and bed frames, and we filled up the rooms, and I gave up my room, and we would have like 2 beds in each room, and we started letting them stay there, and individuals would come and live there, and that's really where, that started developing and growing as far as House of Timothy goes. And it just, even to the point where we had people came from St. Louis, from Baltimore, and just come in to be developed and equipped. So that's how it began.
So yeah, I know, because one of your bylines is to educate, equip, and empower young men. House of Timothy really had no structure other than a Willie Montague saying, come in, be a part of my home, and I'll help you.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have any experiences with young men who would come in and maybe try to take advantage of that situation? Because you are pure, you have a good heart, and sometimes that the two don't go together.
Right. We had that. We never had anyone to actually like steal or anything, but we did have some rough individuals that came in. One individual that I remember coming in, and he gave us a run for our money for sure, as they would say. And I mean, he came in and really had that rebelliousness. He'd been to several different churches seeking help, wanting help, but he didn't want to receive the help. And so we worked with him. We loved him. We let him, play the guitar in our ministry because we had church going at the same time. So we helped groom him, and then he, just one day just left. And so we learned from there, to set the guidelines and parameters of how we're going to run and what it would look like with, anyone coming into our home. So,
Willie, what are some of the parameters? Are you always about teaching and introducing that person to Christ? Is that one of your goals?
Yes, and the main thing, I was just speaking with someone yesterday, I was explaining to them how important it is to, the question usually is asked, what makes us different? And I say the difference between other organizations that may do what we do, that I feel is the difference that God gave us, is that we just let people be where they are. And what we do is, as they go out and start, we actually get like fully involved in life, from text messages to emails, FaceTime, whatever it takes. Like, we let them be who they are, but we equip them by slowly putting our life in theirs and showing them Christ, rather just speaking to them, but just actually showing how it looks to live a godly life.
Why did Willie Montague ever get involved with this, though? Because a lot of times I think that people are in a ministry like that, it's because they identify with that, or maybe they were once homeless, or what gave you this heart of compassion when that really wasn't your upbringing or your background?
Right, great question. My brother today is still in the streets, and he, from snorting pills to being a marijuana, he has 2 kids. He's 24 with two kids, and not married, just basically out there, giving my mother a hard time. But really, that's what inspires me today. And I remember recently, my mother had sent a picture of him behind bars, in the orange jumpsuit, and I remember falling to my knees and I began to weep and crying, and that's when I realized this is why I'm doing what I'm doing, because it's my brother, and I want to stop those from ending up where he is. So.
I love that. I knew there was a special heart.
Yes.
I knew there was something really special about you, Willie. Why did you call the ministry House of Timothy?
Right out of the Bible.
Yeah?
House of Timothy is straight from the Word of God, and the reason we chose Timothy was because, just as Paul raised up Timothy and brought him into a mentorship, into discipleship, is the same thing we want to do with these individuals. And we believe in doing it in the threefold. We don't want it just to be a spiritual aspect, but we also want them to learn. They come in and learn about washing dishes,
Good.
cleaning their rooms, chores, how to do job placements, resumes, whatever it takes. We want them to be whole completely and learn the Christian principles, but also learn that they have to work in society as well.
Practical skills. You've got to
Yes.
be able to go out there and have a sustainable lifestyle. And a lot of times people don't know that, because I would venture to guess, Willie, tell me if I'm wrong, that a lot of the times the common denominator is not having a father figure in the home. How are you going to learn how to be a young man, a responsible person, if you don't have a father in the home?
Correct. That is. Yes.
Are they seeing you as a father figure?
They do. In
Yeah.
fact, I have about a dozen that I actually mentor now that are not residents, they're non-residential, and that is the number one denominator. Said that it's a lack of a father. Most of them call me, they'll call, even to young women that call and say, hey, I told my mom that you're like a dad, and that's what we're noticing is different, and that's kind of like the Lord is giving that the rise of the father, like the birthing of a son. Like this is what, is the heart of the father that I feel like he wants us to do right now, is really to grab hold of our generation and those who are youth, and really just get them to realize that there's someone that loves them, even if it's not their biological father. There's someone that can bring them that love and that absence that they have, so they won't end up in the streets doing things they shouldn't do.
What is your vision for House of Timothy? Where do you see it going in the future?
I want us to have land. I want us to have land in a bigger campus. Right now we just have a house. I want us to actually have a facility where we can do schooling and help them get back to school and train them up and teach them like a culinary arts type of thing. Just just different industries involved where we have different businesses they can learn how to do their trade in there. And I just want to see it expand even to different states. We've been asked in other places about how they can actually take our concept and use it in other places. So I want to see expansion and growth.
Are you a 501c3
Yes,
now?
ma'am, we are.
Okay, now this is your personal home that or is this where you live all the time?
No, this is not actually. This is a home that's a story in itself. We actually came and when we first came, it was a rough start for us when we moved here to Florida. And so several that came with me, there was like a little small group that came with me to Florida. And when we was looking for a place to stay, and this was the place that would open. It was already as a transitional home. And so then we were praying, we got everything done, the 501c3, all the legal paperwork you need to get done. And then after that was finished, someone had actually called that same day and asked, what is it that you need? And I was like, we need a house. And then the next phone call I got was from the guy who is from this house that we needed. And he just said that he felt like this is what Lord wanted him to do, was to release that to us. And,
he gave it to you?
He didn't give it to us, but he lowered it to a whole lot that we can actually afford. So we actually, everything we do is based off of donations. But it opened as a 4-bedroom, 2-bath. And we're able to, house about up to 6 that can be in there.
Wow, I am so
Yes,
happy about a ministry like that for the young. Are they just young men, or you will take any age man?
They're young men from 18 to 25, but if there's someone that's over that age, that's when we do the non-residential portion. We do have a portion where, because we have someone that contacted me that's 50 years old and wanting the services, and so we do whatever we can do to help everyone, especially if they're men, and we are working on a project to open one for young women too at the end of the year called House of Deborah.
House of Deborah.
Yes, ma'am.
How long would a resident normally stay with you?
9 months.
9 months is the max.
Is the max.
Okay.
And then after the 9 months, they do it like a 12 weeks or 3 more months. They do a 12-week non-residential, so they'll come once a week, and you will make sure that they're staying on that path.
Oh, and probably for a lifetime if they needed it, knowing you and
Yes,
knowing your heart, just in this little bit of time that I'm
Yes,
getting to
ma'am.
know you. Thank you so much, Willie. Well, the exciting part is that you brought a former resident here with you
Yes, ma'am.
today. So we're going to take a quick break, but when we get back, we're going to have a testimony from an actual resident, former resident from the House of Timothy, to visit with us and with Willie Montague, because you don't want to go away. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm John Riley, and this is Life with Riley. The Bible talks about blessing each other. Put a blessing on somebody else. Well, all blessing means is just simply say good words. Now, it also means to lift somebody up, to put them in a position of honor. But we can also bless God by saying good words to Him and by showing Him our proper praise to Him. We can also be a blessing to ourselves. One of my favorite Irish blessings is one line, and it just simply says, "May you live every day of your life." May you live every day of your life. How do we do that? Well, what are the things that you do that make you feel the most alive? That's when you're living. When you say something to somebody else and their face brightens, you just lived that moment. Let's do things every day that are real living things. They give us life. We say, now I'm living today. Say good things to other people. Hope you have a Riley great day blessing other people.
We have a lot to be thankful for during this great holiday season of Thanksgiving and having an attitude of gratitude. I have to tell you that I am grateful today for Willie Montague being here with us. He's with the House of Timothy, and he has started this incredible ministry for young men who really have no direction in life and need somewhere to go. And he's brought one of his former residents here to visit with us. Quan Brown is here from the House of Timothy, or used to be living at the House of Timothy. You don't live there anymore. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
So glad that you're here. Tell us a little bit about your story, Quan. Whatever got you in a position? You're a young man. You told me during the break that you're 23 years old. What put you in a position to need a home?
Well, before I came to House of Timothy, even though I knew God, I just did not know who I was as a man. And so there were a lot of things that I lacked. And there were some skills that I did not have. And so when I had came to the House of Timothy, I just really fell in love with the vision. And there was something there that I was like, I have to have what is here so that I could become better in life.
And like Willie,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
I mean, Willie is this incredible role model. I mean, you make young men want to be better, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So did you have a mom and dad growing up, or were you out on the streets, or what was your home life like as a boy?
Well, my dad wasn't there. My mom has always been there. As a young man, I was just, I tried to fit in. I really didn't do all the smoking and drinking, but I tried to be, someone else that I, wasn't. And so I really could not, fit in with the crowds. And so I just always felt different, but just, as a young lad, I was just normal, but quiet and just quiet.
You just knew there was something better for you. And I love how you say you knew Jesus in your head probably, but you didn't probably, and don't let me put words in your mouth, but it's almost like, because I was there, I knew him in my head from the time I was a little girl, but I didn't have that heart relationship with him until I was about 16 years old. So you're recognizing there's that need for that heart relationship with the Lord. You get to the House of Timothy. Willie, what do you see in this young man?
Well, when he first came, I saw that there was an absence of something. And I heard a lot of stories of what he went through. One of them being just some things, and he's free to share about some of the mental unrest he had, and even some of the hospitals that he had to go in for mental things that was there. And a lot of that came from some trauma through growing up. And I just saw that he was a wounded vessel when he first got there. I could see that he was kind of frigid. He came just with a book bag on his back, no clothes, no anything. And so when he came from Baltimore, Maryland, And so from there, I just saw that this was someone that can be developed, and he definitely had a great gift on the inside of him. And it was rough in the beginning, but he made it through.
Did you ever, Quan, have anybody like Willie that really showed that kind of an interest in you, in a male figure? I'm sure your mother loved you and showed you all that, but you don't have a dad at home, and so you see this guy several years older than you are, but really kind of like a peer at the same time. He's not that much older than you, and he's loving on you, and he's showing you the way to Jesus. What's your response?
My response was, this man is like a dad to me. Even though we're like, even though there's not that much difference in age, he is honestly like a father to me. I mean, I will like stay with this man until if he's 100 years old, I will like be there. And it's just an awesome experience to like know him.
What's he teaching you, Quan? Is he teaching you how to know Jesus? Is he teaching you how to keep a checkbook? Is he teaching you things on the internet? What is he teaching you?
Everything. He's teaching me, like etiquette. He's like teaching me how to like walk in excellence, how like to dress, how to position myself, and it's just everything down the line. Cook, clean, just everything that I lacked.
Why did you like that? Because you had a mother and you had a home. What was going on at home?
At home, there was open opportunities for me to learn those things, but I was just lazy. I did not really, just lazy. And so when I got here, having his toughness and like his motivation, and it just really made me think like, man, I am 20 years old, I'm 23, I have to get myself together, because if I am to be married one day, no woman would want a man that can't cook, can't clean, can't dress right. She wants a man that is on point.
That's right, that's right. So Willie, you're teaching this young man how to be a man of God. I heard you say, Quan, tough. He's tough with me sometimes. What is the balance between tough love and just sort of having that compassionate, merciful side of you?
Well,
or is there that side?
It is definitely that side. What I do is I'm very big about order, and I'm big about, they some say stern and tough, and they use those words, but they always know that afterwards, I'm gonna probably go take them out to eat or do something after that. But I always tell individuals before I start mentoring them or doing anything with them, that if I speak to you in a way that you seem that's like, man, that was tough, I'm speaking to the individual that you're going to be, not who you are now.
Oh, I love
and
that.
so that's the reason why they, and where he was at that point, he wouldn't have been there if it wasn't for me seeing way into the, into like, this is who you can be. So, if you are called to be a doctor, of course, the people who are going to groom you, if you're in elementary school, you're learning to get to that place. And so I always tell them that you cannot be in a master's degree program doing elementary work. And so that's the biggest thing for me, is that you have to be developed, and it's going to take some toughness, because when you're doing a master's degree program, they're going to expect for you to have these grades to look like you want to master something. So.
What's the story, Quan? Because during the break you kind of said you just met your dad for the first time about a year ago, right?
Oh, yes, ma'am. I was at work, and this lady called. She messages me on my Facebook, and she, tells me that I think that we're related. And so I says, really? So I called my mom and I said, Mom, do you know this lady? She was like, no. And so she had said that her uncle's name was Larry Brown, and yes. And so I was like, Larry Brown, that's my dad's name. And so I asked her, is his middle name Bernard? She said yes. I stopped in my tracks and I was like,
wow.
And so I instantly called her. We both, she cried, and I was like, you know my dad? And so then she called him, and I was like, I'm surprised I did not cry, because I was like, wow, 23 years, I have not seen my dad, because my prayer was about maybe like a year before that I would meet my dad the next year, and God just came through, and I'm like, man, yes.
God is faithful. So you met your dad. What was the meeting like?
We hugged and embraced. We both did not cry, but what I really realized is that my dad and me are like twins. We look alike. We got big foreheads.
That means a lot of brain power. You know that, right? Okay.
Yes. And, I'm just glad that I have finally met him, because he was that missing piece that I just never had. And
so do you have a relationship with him now? Is he wanting to be a part of your life now?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Now, do you find, and Willie, have you met him as well?
Mm-hmm.
Do you find that maybe Mr. Brown has some growing to do, or is he somebody that you're mentoring as well, or is he pretty much on his way?
He's on his way. We still mentor. As I said, up until 8. We had one lady that came. She was 77 years old. So it is fine. Like we mentor them till they feel like they're ready to go. We are a leadership development place. We want them to come and to go. We want them to come and get all that they need. And when they feel like that season is up, we pray together and we release them. There's a young man even now who is into ministry as well, and he came as well to the program, and he's here now in Orlando, and he's preaching and teaching and going forth. And another guy who actually was that I want to actually come, but he's in Oklahoma, and he was out there. He was the one that was really into a lot of things, and then his grades was poor. But he turned around, got a full scholarship to a university, and he's doing well and at his campus preaching the gospel to those around him. Yeah.
And really, to get back to your dad, Quan, it didn't sound like there was any resentment in your heart at all toward your dad, that he hadn't been around for all those years, because we don't know. We don't know how many young men are out there that were maybe like you, that he didn't have that male figure to help him along and to help him understand responsibility and all of that. So I commend you for holding no resentment or bitterness toward your dad, and now that you're having a good relationship with him, right?
Yes, ma'am. When he had asked me, he had apologized and said, I am sorry that I was not there. And he asked if I was mad at him. And I said, Dad, I'm not mad at you. I'm just glad to have you, back into my life. Because, with most people, if their dads aren't there, there's a lot of bitterness in my heart. But I just had my heart open. I just said, just welcome home, Dad. I'm just glad to be back into your life.
Praise God for that. What is Thanksgiving going to look like for you today? What does it look like for the guys at the House of Timothy?
Well, we actually just had someone to offer to donate to get all the food that we need to cook. So we're going to do a big dinner at the House of Timothy and invite others over and do like a mini tour, let people come through and see our house and how everything is set up. And so it's just, I'm excited, for Thanksgiving.
Well, happy Thanksgiving to you,
Same
Willie,
to you.
and to the rest of the men there at the House of Timothy. And Quan, what an honor it was to meet you. God has such incredible things in store for your life. And I thank you for being honest with us today and open and telling your life-changing story. And what a story of forgiveness, and one of just not holding any bitterness at all in his heart toward a dad who was absent for 23 years. Now he's in his life and they have a relationship. That's a Thanksgiving story for you right there. We've got more good stuff coming up. John Rivers is going to be in the kitchen cooking for us, so you don't want to go away.
It's Courtney Shaw, certified personal trainer with your Good Life 45 Fit Tip. Do you know what the definition of fit and fitness is? Well, society will tell us that someone who is fit has big biceps, ripped abs, and an overall nice physique, or is even skinny. But the Webster's definition tells us that fit is being ready, prepared, in proper position, and lastly, in good physical condition. Spiritually, God wants us fit for our journey. He has countless opportunities lined up to show His glory throughout the day. But if you're not spiritually fit, ready and armed with the Word of God, you can find yourself missing a moment to share the love of God or even succumb to an attack of the enemy. Just as it takes discipline to have great health and be physically fit, so does it keep discipline to be spiritually fit and ready to fight the good fight of faith. Some great ways to keep your spirit in great shape are to read your Word daily, pray, listen to worship music, and have godly friends and accountability to encourage you. Today's physical fit tip is to have proper form when lifting weights. A big part of being fit is in being in good position. If we don't start out with the proper position, we can end up looking funny, potentially injuring ourselves, and not be effective as we possibly could be. So I'm going to go ahead and show you a quick example of how to do a proper bicep curl. First of all, you need weights. You want to start out with something, first of all, that's not too heavy. When you pick up the weight, it shouldn't strain you. So you want to make sure that your dumbbells are to your side, your elbows are hinged right at your hips, and you want to alternate the weights. You want to also make sure that your wrists are locked out. You don't want floppy wrists. And you want to pull from your bicep. You don't want to swing. Sometimes I'll do the improper demonstration. Sometimes we see people in the gym and they're swinging their weights and they're going at it and they're looking all intense. But some things could happen. They could get injured. Of course, they're going to look silly, but we want you to do it proper. So let's go ahead and put your weights to the side. Elbows are hinged back, and you want to pull all the way up, keep your wrists locked out, bring that dumbbell all the way up to the top, squeeze, and you want to come down nice and slow. The slower you can go on the negative, the better. That way you get more resistance. And just spiritually, as we go through more resistance, our spiritual muscles grow stronger, and so does our faith grow in Christ. So you want to alternate, you want to squeeze up at the top, same thing, nice and slow, all the way back down. Now, I showed you a traditional curl. Now I'm going to show you a hammer curl. It's always great to work your muscle groups and target it from multiple different angles. So you want to go ahead and bring your hands all the way to the top of the dumbbells, elbows stay back, and you want to pull all the way straight up. This time you want to bring the dumbbell up and over your shoulder, pause and squeeze at the top, come down nice and slow on the negative. Same thing again, you want to alternate, come all the way up at the top, get a good squeeze, and slow and controlled on the way down. Also, when you're lifting weights, breathing is so important. I may sound like I'm a little out of breath right now, but you want to make sure your breathing is slow and controlled and you're getting more oxygen into the bloodstream. Last I want to show you is called a crossover curl. You want to make sure your feet are shoulder width apart again, you're planted in your heels. You always want to have your core tight anytime you do any exercise. And we're going to bring the dumbbell over and across the chest. You're going to drop the dumbbell back into your shoulder, pause and squeeze up top. Same thing again, come down nice and slow on the negative. And we're going to alternate and do the other side. Now, a good workout would be doing 10 to 20 repetitions, 3 sets. And if you want to keep your heart rate up too, do them back to back. So to conclude, today we want you to be spiritually and physically fit. I hope you are encouraged today to become spiritually and physically fit and be all that you were called and created to be in Christ Jesus. For more fit tips and healthy recipes, you can visit goodlife45.org or check us out on Facebook. Remember, you are fit to live the good life.
Hey everyone, I'm Jashelle Worthington with your Beauty by God tip. Recently, a friend of mine went to a mall where she was approached by a nail vendor. They demonstrated a nail buffer to shine her nail. From that, she ended up with an infection and had to take antibiotics. This could have been prevented. Here are some tips on how to keep you safe when shopping for cosmetics. When going to a department store where a makeup artist will be applying makeup for you, make sure you see a few cleaning solutions. For example, makeup remover, brush cleaner, surface cleaners like alcohol that keep your workspaces clean, disposable mascara wands, sponges, or tissues. Remember, these cosmetics are used on multiple people, so making sure you take the extra steps to stay safe are worth it. Now let's move on to a Help Yourself cosmetic store. These have open samples of makeup everywhere, so please proceed with caution. Try and avoid applying any of these cosmetics to your face. Instead, apply them to the back of your hand and bringing it up to your face so that you can see how it looks. These stores are huge, and it is so hard for employees to walk around and disinfect every makeup pod after anyone has touched it. If you must try, then ask a sales associate to disinfect the makeup for you and give you a disposable makeup sponge. Remember, no matter where you end up buying your cosmetics, make sure it's clean and safe to use. And why not try a new shade of lipstick? It'll look great on you. I hope you have found these tips useful. I am Giselle Worthington with your Beauty by God tip. And remember, God made you beautiful.
Hey everyone, it's Courtney Shaw. I am in the kitchen today with John Rivers. He's the owner and founder of Four Rivers Smokehouse and The Coop. John, it's so great to have you.
Hi, Courtney. Thank you very much.
Great to see you again as always. And we have a special guest today in the kitchen, Whitney Miller. And we're excited to hear that you are the winner of MasterChef.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Oh, we're excited to have you. And we hear you're going to be spending some time over at The Coop as well.
I will. So my specialty is Southern. I'm from Mississippi after all. And so it just is a very good fit. And John has brought me on, and I'm really excited.
Well, you're blessed to have such a great mentor and friend in John Rivers as well. Well, today we're talking pancakes, right?
We're talking
And we're not
pancakes.
talking flat pancakes. We're
No.
talking fluffy, right? Because who wants to have
Absolutely.
a flat pancake? And so one of the cool things we're going to do later is put a little Thanksgiving spin on these fluffy pancakes.
You have to.
And pop some pumpkin in.
This time of year. All
Awesome.
right.
John will take it away. Show us how to make the most
We're going to jump
fluffy
into this.
pancake.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
We're going to jump in there. And the key to pancakes is actually there's two parts. There's a wet mix and then there's a dry mix. And you need to separate the two as you make them. So what we're going to do is we'll build our dry mix in here. Okay? And in here, we're going to put our flour. Okay? We're going to put a little bit of baking powder, a little bit of sugar. Okay? And to this, what we're going to do is we're going to roll in our actual wet mix itself, okay? So in the wet mix, one of the key things that I love to put in it is you got to have eggs, obviously. And one of the keys is what you want to do is whip your whites, okay?
Whip the whites.
Whip
You
the
gotta
whites
do
because
it.
that builds a lot of fluff in it. All right, so we're going to fold these guys in, okay? And we're going to use this. We're going to put in our yellows, okay? Whitney, if you want to go ahead and start making some of those, okay? We're going to mix some yellow. Now, a little bit of clarified butter, okay, which is melted butter, and then you skim off the fat off of it, okay?
So, John, is there a reason why we're going to fold the egg whites in? Is that part of, not just stirring them in? Is that what makes them fluffy?
It does.
Okay.
It does. And our milk, okay? So we're going to combine all of this together, all right? And I'm going to put a little bit of vanilla into here.
Do you recommend any type of vanilla? I know some people are real particular about their vanilla. Is there
That's a
anyone
great
that you
question.
recommend?
There are huge differences between those, and I always like to get a pure vanilla instead of an imitation. It makes a big difference. And you can get those pretty much even at Publix, a nice brand of that, as long as you just make sure that you do get your pure piece of it. Perfect.
Now, what about the milk, too? I mean, do you need a higher fat content in your milk to make them fluffier? I mean, or do you make your pancakes with skim milk?
Just like I've spoken about with Barbara, if you're going to make something, I like to make it all the way. I won't compromise on the sugar or the flavor or the butter. I'll compromise on how much I eat of it.
Portion control,
When I
right?
don't do that, then I have to exercise more
That's
on the
right.
back
You
end of it.
counteract it. That's absolutely true.
So I'm going to mix in my wet. Okay, now here is the other key to pancakes. A lot of people will take these, especially when I was younger, and you just beat the heck out of it, right?
Yeah.
Well, what you're going to do is you're going to release the natural risers that are in here, and you don't want to do that. You want to just fold it over, nice and gentle, okay? And if you end up with clumps of flour, that's okay. That's they're going to cook out. They're going to do just fine. But you don't want to sit here and beat it.
And whisk them.
Yeah, because you'll lose all the fluff that we're working so hard to create.
We don't want to lose the fluff.
Do not want to lose your fluff in life. Now, that's your pancake recipe, and it's going to look lumpy like this, and that's what you want. And a lot of that comes from the eggs that we put in there. Now, we want to do this for Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah,
So-
we got to kick it up a
Okay,
notch,
so-
right?
so-
As another chef we know says a lot, right?
Yes, indeed. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take some basic pumpkin right out of a can, okay?
Now, that's not pumpkin pie mix, right? It's just straight up
That
pumpkin.
is just straight pumpkin, but that's a great question. You want it to taste like pumpkin pie mix.
Right.
So I'll get like a pumpkin pie spice, okay, and I'll add this to it. Because you've got to get, if you just put the pumpkin in there, it's very bitter.
Yeah.
And you don't want that. So add my spice to it, and that's going to give me a lot of nice flavors. And even from then, I like to put a little bit more in it, so I'll add some brown sugar.
Can't go wrong with brown sugar, right?
No, can't go wrong with brown sugar and pumpkin together. Okay, and I'll go ahead and I'll mix these up. Okay, and blend them. Okay. Now, I do want that nice and incorporated so that when I put it in, I'm not biting into a big pocket of brown sugar or of mix.
That might send you through the roof, right?
Yeah,
We know you like spice in your
Yes,
food, right?
yes.
But that would be a little
Okay.
too spicy.
And now all I'm going to do is add this in and fold it once more. So now I've incorporated some nice pumpkin flavor.
So the key to keeping the fluff and maintaining it, even when you add in different mix-ins and things, is to fold.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Fold it in, don't overbeat it. Okay. And then get those nice colors. And then the next part is going to be your cooking. And as you see what Whitney's doing here, you're starting with an already hot panel, okay,
Right.
of some kind. Now, I always say you got to have one sacrifice pancake. You know,
I know, some
just
businesses
gotta-
start smoking and burning.
Yep, somebody's got to give
They
it up.
paved the
'cause
way,
You
for
got to have that
goodness.
right temperature. So
Yeah,
go
and
ahead
then when you flip, you can just see the rise.
Yes.
And you see how it's just coming up nicely? Now, one thing to know when you make pancakes, when you put them down like this, what you're looking for are these bubbles. And the bubbles are your indicator it's time to flip. When they start coming up, you watch her. She'll go ahead and she'll flip it. And
So we got fold, flip, and fluff.
Fold,
the 3 F's of making a pumpkin pancake, right?
I like that. I like that.
That's awesome.
All right, now this is kind of wet. And I tell you what, we're going to go ahead and put these on, but we're going to taste these other ones.
Great.
While we are, I tell you what, let's just go ahead and, I can't resist anymore. Why don't we just dive into this?
The bowl or
No,
the
the finished ones, the finished ones. And on top
Those
of
look
here,
amazing.
we put a little bit of our bourbon maple syrup.
Oh, wow,
that we
that sounds
make,
amazing.
And a little bit of toasted pecans. And we will, how
I think this looks like the perfect taste to fall, though, too.
how about you give it a try? I'll hold it for you. How's that?
Awesome.
Nice.
And definitely fluffy on the texture. I'm
Nice,
seeing
okay.
that.
We got a little crisp on the outside.
you gotta
She's
have a
cooked
little
it
crisp
just
on the
perfect.
John, amazing.
Good?
Amazing. Well, we hope that you've enjoyed these fluffy, delicious pancakes and put the creative twist to fall by throwing a little pumpkin in. So remember, flip, fold to have the fluff. John, thanks so much. You can get this recipe on our Facebook page. We'll be right back after this.
Thanks so much for joining us today on this Thanksgiving program on having an attitude of gratitude in spite of circumstances. I want to end our program with a note of hope about this very topic. The Bible tells us in 1 Thessalonians 5:18, "In everything give thanks, for this is the will of God in Christ Jesus." I only have a slight problem with 2 of those little words, in everything. I have to be honest with you. My first response is not to always give thanks when the dishwasher breaks or I have a flat tire or someone I know and love has a huge disappointment or a health issue. But here's what I've learned. God is faithful, but He expects me to be faithful too. My first response needs to be one of gratitude for God being beside me when I'm stranded on the road with that flat tire. My first response needs to be one of gratitude that God is the great physician even when the diagnosis is bad. I'm not being grateful for the bad stuff. Rather, I'm being grateful for God carrying me through the bad stuff. I'm being grateful for His presence, His power, and His love in my life, even when circumstances are bleak. God tells us in Psalm 118, verse 1, to give thanks to the Lord because His love endures forever. He is a good God. He's got this. Only then can I receive His peace and His love. I need in my devotional and love to read about the things that are important, those little treasures throughout the day, those little blessings that we read and that we can pluck up every single day one by one, to gather them, if you will, into a lovely bouquet, and then to offer them up to God with a grateful heart. That's a recipe for a peaceful night's sleep, and that's our note of hope for the day. Thanks so much for joining us, and may God bless you.